All right, welcome back once more to Crazy House World Championship. We are watching Mugwort versus mastertan. And Mugwort's first game with the white pieces. They actually played each other in the double elimination knockouts portion as well. And Mugwort took that one. I feel. Yeah, he took that one and he went on to play the King Switcher, and mastertan managed to beat two players in the lower brackets to secure his spots in candidate stage. And as usually is the case, I'm running on a delay with commentary to ensure people aren't invited to watch and to check my moves if they are even helpful for them. Sometimes they probably are, so therefore just not give them the opportunity. Okay, let's talk about the game a bit. This sacking of the d4 pawn is to ensure quick development, and sometimes the queen tries to go for even another pawn, but that's I think Mugwort knows what to do there. That should be better for white, and also here he's a pawn down, but his pieces are already very nicely developed, as you can see. He can try to follow maybe with knights f3 e5. It's not so easy for black to untangle quickly. He needs to play a slower game here and try to survive the first wave of attack. And pawn at d6 is just aimed at stopping knight e5. No queen d7 anymore as well. So how to continue here is white. You could just castle, maybe try pawn at d5 at some stage to bring the knight to d5. But castles is fine as well. And black probably will try to develop this way, but he has to watch out for any bishop takes c6, knight at h5 drops being a bit annoying maybe. So he tries to force the issue first. But here there might be some bishop takes c6, b takes c6, pawn at b7 ideas. He may take with the queen, but pawn at b7, bishop here, knight at e5 seems to be really annoying. Don't know if it's enough, but looks like an idea. Or maybe pawn here and a knight at c5. Okay, he's going knight at e5. The idea is that you can take the queen. So maybe he wants takes pawn at b7. The other way around seems more forcing. Yeah, there we go. Because now if you take, there's knight takes e5 with a strong attack, if not mating. Maybe it's not mating on the spot. It is, because the bishop is here. So if takes knight takes e5, and you cannot run here because of queen at d7, king b8, and the knight can come to d7. So mastertan realizing that, giving up the rook. But he has some material for the rook, but this queen is of course not something you would like on your back rank. So he's giving up the queen, but it was a pawn, so nothing there. And now basically forcing knight d8 to keep the piece. And here, maybe knight takes e5 is working. Yeah, he's going for it. Because you can take this with check, but then after king d8, I don't see the follow-up just yet. So maybe he has another move here. Okay, rook d1 seems prudent, since now you invite black to think about where to block. But if takes, I don't see a direct mating pattern. So maybe you could go queen at f8. You're threatening to take here with mate, and you're also threatening bishop e8. I guess then maybe just queen at e8 was fine as a defensive resource, or queen at e7. So he's going for bishop at g3. Which is, I think, just designed to defend a bit and maybe get rid of this one. Taking with f, opening up this. So taking with the f pawn is in crazy house most of the times. It's in chess you take like this, but in crazy house you're sometimes taking like this to open up your rook and also give your king some more room. I still like going for something like here, because there are also ideas than taking here knight at c5. He's going for it eventually. Yeah, now take the rook. Then there's king takes, okay. Okay, so maybe it's not that as good. But at least his king is perfectly fine with the bishop covering here. So no knight e2, knight f2, queen g1 mating tricks. Knight g4, probably a good move to continue the attack. This is also an idea. I was going for knight g4, then you have knight takes g3 and queen h2. But here's just going to be a scramble. I think mastertan is probably slightly better in these situations. And now he's also finding a checkmating pattern, or at least close. Taking here. And now Mugwort has to try something here at pawn at d7, knight at c5. But it's gonna be close. Watch this time. The queen is covering a lot of squares. He's run out of time. Feel like he had something there in the end, but it was too hard to find on increments alone. Okay, so next game on the way. I was just checking because it feels like I had experienced some internet issues before today, so could be it's not working. If so, let me know. but let's just focus on the game. We had a e4, e5 with bishop e2. Okay, and now the bishop is coming to b5 to put pressure on the central pawn. Mugwort already has a pawn here, but he can try to go knight h3, but knight f4, but then just king g2 and king g1 should be perfectly fine. So Mugwort just leaves this pawn b, goes for bishop d6, gets ready to castle. Castles into the knight takes g7, but I think if knight takes g7 he's just going to ignore and try pawn at g4 maybe, or knight at h3. You would like pawn g4 and your queen here, that would be ideal for black. So pawn at f6 blocks that and also creates, if you take knight at h6 and you're only a pawn short for mate. Yeah, I think and I predict that these games are going to be sharp like this all the time. And if Mugwort lets it go down to time trouble, I think he's going to have a really tough time against mastertan. But if he can secure an advantage out of the opening, which I think Mugwort should be able to do, then I'm banking Mugwort to win this one, as he did last time against mastertan. But we'll see what happens. So far mastertan won first game with black, so he's doing well. Yeah, so here bishop takes h5 should be played. I think take with the queen or bishop, either. I think bishop, then you cover f6. But now rook at g3 is going to come, covering against knight at h3, which was mating idea. But with two knights, you can mate the king usually. Trying to block actively. And now I think he's thinking about maybe taking here. Or try d4 or something. He has to be a bit careful about knight at h3 though. Maybe he has to be really on the lookout for knight at h3. It looks really strong. Knight at h3 takes, knight at f4, king f1. And you can force a rook with pawn at g2. While you're as black, you're pretty safe here actually with the defensive pieces. I think we're going to see this on the board, at least up till here. Maybe you would like to play pawn at g2, rook takes g2, and then take the bishop. But or just take this. Don't try to be fancy. Okay, the idea for black is that he's going to take here next. Then rook at g1, knight f4 is really close to mate. This knight is mate actually. So mastertan covering g1 by putting a piece on the board. This knight isn't covered, so if you play rook h1, I think this is saving. So just knight f4 back. There might be some queen takes d2 if you don't defend the g2. Then knight takes, okay. So he's defending g2 this way. But he has to be really careful here as white. The rook at h1 is coming, bishop at g2. Even maybe bishop at f3, something like that. It's not going to be easy to defend this as white, especially because usually you like to defend being active on the counterplay, but still these bishops and this queen are protecting everything. Yeah, rook here, you cannot even take this one because of bishop at g2. So I think we're gonna see resigns here. There's just nothing to be done against rook takes g1. Okay, 1-1. What? Mate in 1. Okay, it doesn't really matter, I guess. Hey, okay. Yeah, mastertan broke serve, but he's... Okay, Mugwort missed mate in 1, but he still should be better here. He had played brilliantly up until the mate in 1 missed, but still he should be better. But how to play? Just don't waste too much time. There's still the defensive pieces. Yeah, pawn at g2, bishop at g2 was just made 1. Hey, up you to go. Welcome. Okay, so e4, e6, a6 and c5, mastertan, switching it up in the openings. We saw him do this before in his other matches, where he tries to avoid theoretical lines and just goes for a weird position where, well, basically he's just worse, I think, objectively speaking. But if the benefit from that is that the other player, in this case Mugwort, tries to prove that he's worse. Already half a minute burned, and it's not so easy to play a new opening and just prove that it's not the best. So I like this strategy by mastertan. He knows he's not as equipped as Mugwort in the known lines these days, so he just plays something else. Okay, Mugwort probably deciding if knight takes d5 is a threat, so he just takes the knight. But mastertan only used his increment so far, and he has an okay position. He can put another bishop here, trade here, play knight at f4. So Mugwort tries to do something about that, but still knight at h4. This is almost winning g2 by force, or he has to give up the queen. Since queen g4, h5, queen g3, bishop at f4. Oh, it's really strong. So if you go for this, you have to take like this, but that leaves holes in your positions, also not ideal. And mastertan, without any efforts, seems to have a really strong position. Or without any time invested, I mean. Yeah, just king f8. No, not using any pieces, not blocking here, allowing queen g4 and takes. And now Mugwort is in trouble. And this time is also burning like crazy. Yeah, I wouldn't know what to play. I think just giving up the queen maybe with something like this. There he goes. But look at this, 10 seconds. Even if it's just take and take. But yeah, mastertan should be able to finish this, considering time and considering position. He's already threatening bishop takes and pawn at g2 and stuff like that. Hey Jared, thanks for the follow. Okay, so he's trying knight at c4. I think maybe queen takes a4 and queen at d1 forcing line was already really good. But okay, mastertan just playing a bit slower. And I think that's a good thing to do because he's just... Yeah, he has the resources and time to do this. And now Mugwort has no pieces left in hand, and then it's really tough to play. And now knights are dropping at h2 and d4 maybe. I think Mugwort forfeits on time. Yeah, there we go. So 2-1, okay. And don't let mastertan's rating fool you. 2400 is still very respectable rating, but he used to be 2600 and even better all the time. He's just not as active as before. And more players are coming to Crazy House, so they study the game, or they know some lines. Storage77, thanks for the follow. Okay, so here we have a classic e4 e5 game. And mastertan going into the theoretical lines, but playing h3, and bishop g5 is, I think, or bishop g5 or knight g5 is best here. I think knight g5 recently is being played at the highest level. Bishop g5 has been the oldest line in the book. Yeah, and this is something I encountered against Mugwort myself. And this should be defendable as white, or as black if you, but at least is sacrifice. But it's really annoying around your king. But you should defend for a couple of moves, trying to make use of the pin. Taking with the bishop, so pawn at d4 is not an option anymore. Now I think take with the rook, and then rook g2 was an idea. Taking with the king, yeah, I think bishop at b6, and yeah, knight coming here and pawn at f4 is going to be an attacking plan now with the king on f2. And if you go with the rook, he can bishop at b6 is also possible, but then you just cover with the bishop here. And giving up the rook is not really a problem then. But okay, mastertan plays it like this. I wouldn't do it like this, but I'm also not in the candidates. Yeah, so taking on h3 seems good. Knight g4 now. It's an option in some positions. Probably you want to play something on f4 first, or bishop at b6 and then pawn at f4. I think now you should look at bishop at f2, g2 I mean. Because it restricts movements. Bishop at g2, let's say rook at h2, pawn at f4, then knight g4 is already a strong threat. Okay, so bishop at g2 played. I don't think rook h2 is the good move, but rook g1 is also giving your king. So probably the best thing is just to not move the rook and do something else. But then if you let the rook be taken, the rook can come to g2, so it's also not so easy to defend. So I think black is doing well here, at least practically speaking, and he has, in contrast to previous game, there's a good situation on the clock for him now. Just both players using time. Mastertan almost burning a minute on knight d5. Going for the counter. Yeah, so this is more seen in these e4, e5 lines, just giving up the queen and then moving your knight. Don't know if he goes knight here. And this is also just not taking the queen. It's also a known motif. Because black would like to play f6 to solve these ideas, but that's not possible because of the pin. But now Mugwort feels if you take my queen, I should have enough to mate. Let's check that. Probably is really close. Rook at g2 and king here, knight g3, king here, pawn at f2, and promote. That looks really strong. So Mastertan spots as well that he has to do something about rook at g2. Yeah, a strong bishop indeed, as said in the comments. Bishops are underrated pieces in Crazy House, I feel. Okay, so Mastertan cannot sack the queen here because he doesn't have any mating attack. And therefore I feel Mugwort is doing well. There might be some weird combination now with knight at f6 coming, and where you take the rook and then some rook at g7 or rook at h8 ideas. Because you have so many knights and pieces to play with. But Mastertan is just defending. I don't know if that's the right call. I thought maybe he should have tried to counter. But okay, his time is low and he's saying knight at d2, then rook takes. You cannot allow this. This was a nice fight. Now it's game over. The pawn on f2 is poisoned since knight takes h3 just wins. But Mugwort is messing it up. Oh, his time so low. Rook d1, yeah, he finds it. Ah, nice. Was almost... I already saw Mugwort running out of time. Felt, okay, he's messing it up again. Hey, Captain Peter. But 2-2, tight match. All 4 black wins. So, in OKE's terms, there's only breaks in serve so far. Yeah, knight b8. Another possible move is here to play bishop takes f3 and try knight e5, but then the light squares are just really weak. And also, again, probably mastertan trying to get Mugwort out of book as soon as possible. Okay, so queen d7, fortifying. The light squares. Ah, you're back, Captain Peter. Yeah, good. Good to see you. And now knight g5. That's not directly designed to take f7, but also to just get a grip on the light squares. And if you try, for example, bishop at h5, I already picturing queen takes h5 for Mugwort as a move. So this is just gonna be a theme the whole game, or at least the opening part. And okay, mastertan played knight b8, tried to be creative, but basically just 2 moves wasted. Or you could say he provoked d5, but d5 is helping Mugwort in this position. Okay, so queen sacrifice happens. And now he's trying to use the bishop as defenders. Mugwort just going g4. Doesn't even care. Could take on f7 and then play pawn at g6, or pawn at e6, but you could also take the bishop. And then, I don't know, bishop at g6. Because this is not so bad for white, because this knight is actually a good defender, so you would like the opportunity to trade it. Duke Rookham, thanks for the follow. So knight takes f7, okay. Pawn at e6. Queen at g6, king d8 is not really doing anything, I feel. So maybe knight b5 at some stage. And queen b5 is suggested as well. c6. And then queen at c7 or something. That is really strong. But g5 trying to trade a pawn and take this knight also. And there's just no counterplay for black, I feel. He's just now nowhere near the king, and you could try knight at d4, but then just queen at a4. It's really strong. Knight takes. Even you can allow that queen a4. Knight c6 takes. So knight at d4 isn't even an option. So just no counterplay at all. Mastertan needs to defend this. And as we saw last game, that's not his strong suit. Yeah, queen a4. Mugwort probably already saw this move. And that's game over. So knight takes okay, but okay, the queen is now used, but this is a really good game by Mugwort, punishing straight from out of the opening, allowing no counterplay whatsoever. I thought maybe bishop e8. Queen takes c6. Because of knight at f7 takes... Oh, sorry. Takes knight f7, king e8, rook d8. It's just game over. Queen takes is possible. Maybe there's also a mate. Something else, but the queen takes e6 is fine. Okay, now queen takes e7. It's good enough. Knight at f7 probably is good enough as well. Has to take, or king here. He found its pawn f7. Okay, nice find. And Mugwort takes it 3-2. Takes the first white game. Fan character, thanks man for the follow. Appreciate it. Okay, so we have a d4 game. And Mugwort playing with e6 very quickly, so we could switch to e4. Probably not now anymore. But usually you would like to give the bishop some scope by entering with d5 or playing d5 soon, but Mugwort playing knight of 6, e6. And now with e3 played and bishop b4, I think b6, bishop b7 is okay as a development plan. But Mugwort has no intention of developing, he's just trading and getting a piece on e4 before anything else. And then probably just d6 to control e5. Franz and Fluke, thanks for the follow. Yeah, so bishop h4, looking at f2, looking at this bishop. Good move. c3. Then bishop takes f6 is probably a problem. If you take here, queen at c3 I guess was the issue. Yeah. But takes. Maybe takes is just good, and you don't need to do anything else. You could just play something like queen at h5 first, a5 first if you want, because knight d2 or rook d2 or whatever needs to be played, and all moves are probably a bit odd. You could also take here and hope for knight at h5 at some stage, and then you can try to defend like this. For example, takes knight g7, king f8, knight h5, queen a5 would be a blunder. Not so easy to spot, but if you know it, you know where to look out for you. Then you would play, of course, this and then knight h5 to try to trick someone playing this, and then you have knight g7, picking it up. Okay, so Mugwort finally takes it. Are we going to see knight h5? Question mark. Problem is he only had 2 knights, so then going in this even takes might be possible, but knight h5 and taking f6 is probably too much. Hey, thanks for the subscription, Frans en Vloek. Or Frans en Vlug if Dutch. So bishop at a5, no blocker used by mastertan. King of 1. But now there might be some ideas with pawn at h3 and opening up the g file. Pawn at h3, bishop takes f6 is probably too much to allow. Bishop takes f6 now might be possible. Because if takes, pawn at g7, king steps aside, and then you can take here if you want. Or you can take the queen, but I'm not sure if taking the queen is best there. Yeah, pawn g7 is forced. Otherwise you're just allowing too much. You can try queen h3, pick up the knight. But just pawn at g2 and take the queen next feels okay for white actually. So maybe you need something more forcing. He's going for it. You have to block king e2, knight c3 look too scary. Yeah, Mugwort is going to run out of time again, I feel. He has a mating threat of rook e1, but queen f8 is going to be... nice one, knight f6 in between. Spotted by Opper very quickly. That's a good mate. I think Mugwort would have spotted that if he had more time and maybe he would have defended, but this is going to be mastertan's game. The thing he wants. If he gets a nice position with a time advantage. Okay, so we have Scandinavian again with queen d8. Bit different than before, and I feel Mugwort should be comfortable in these positions. Just take and bishop g5. If takes with pawn is already really good for white, so queen takes d5. And now bishop e2 if you want to develop slowly. Knight e3, d5 is also an idea. think d5. He has no pieces left in hand, and you would like to open up the position as soon as possible. Takes, knight takes, and then you're threatening bishop e5, for example. Knight takes e7 ideas. But again, even if Mugwort is going for something like this or something else, just developing, again he's using a minute on the clock, so mastertan's game plan is working. Yeah, so he plays d5. Oh, and by the way, it's 3-3, but if it's going to be 5-5, that's just where the match ends. Since it's not knockout anymore, but just candidate stage, so everyone just plays 10 games against each other. And the person with the most points after all matches have been finished gets to play Oberwesen for the title. Yeah, so if knight takes b5 and now bishop takes b5, bishop b5 is threatening to win the queen. And also pawn at b5 is also a bit annoying. Even if a6 as suggested, then pawn at b5 is still a move. Taking doesn't really help. And the queen is not only needs defense from b5, but also is defending c7. So if you go pawn at b5, queen c5, bishop e3. Really strong position for white here. There, so it's understandable that mastertan is taking a bit of time here. I think maybe knight at b4 is correct. Knight at b4, bishop b5, knight takes d5, bishop takes, pawn takes is an option. And Fumitox is suggesting queen d7. Okay, pawn at b5 is now coming, I feel. And then maybe queen d7. But this looks really good for Mugwort. Both clockwise and on the board. Okay, so he switched tensions, goes pawn e7, basically forcing the king to stay in the middle. And saying, okay, if you take my knight, I will play bishop g5 with the gain of tempo. Just block bishop e2, I feel should be fine. Because what is he gonna play? You preserve the bishop in hand. I wants to put queen b4 and then win the big bishop back. Okay, but still bishop g5, a nice development. And he's only a pawn down, and mastertan needs to prove that this extra pawn is going to be worth something. Sacking the queen. Wow. Queen at d8 is now made, so you have to develop the bishop. Knight g5 might be possible. Bishop c4. Just trying to get rid of this defender so you can play queen at d7. could just take your time with bishop back. Maybe bishop to g5 to make knight at f4 less attractive. But maybe he's also just thinking about queen takes d5, takes queen at e6. Not sure if it works, but it looks really good. Because you're threatening here and here with mate. But okay, he didn't go for it. But I feel the queen sack was going to be strong. Maybe mating by force, actually. Oh, he's going for it now. But now, if queen here, pawn at d7, because the other square is covered. So e6, okay. And again, now knight at d6, knight at c7 is mate threatened. I mean here, yeah, this one is covered, so he finds the right way. Not do it my way. Okay, well done by Mugwort in the end there. But mastertan being tenacious. But right at the opening, Mugwort has a strong position and he managed to win it this time. Okay, and we have e4, e5 game again. Mugwort taking the d4 pawn and developing. I guess d5 is then the move here. The problem if you go bishop c5 here is, I guess, bishop takes f7. I don't know, or maybe he misplayed it. Because he's thinking for a while here, so he doesn't know what to do instantly. Bishop c5, you can try h6, something here. But he's just castling and getting safe. Bishop back somewhere. I think here b5, knight e5 should be fine for black. Since the bishop is hanging on c4. Okay, and now if you take here, there's development for free, so maybe you could try this if you want to be creative. d5 then. Oh, d5 after that, something. Might be something there. Because you would like to open up this bishop, but he's just taking the pawn, and now d5. And mastertan is trying to get through in the center. He wants to kick away these knights. He wants to take on d5 maybe. You can take a couple of times. There's no coverage on e7, so there's no tricks with sacking all on d5 and then playing knight e7, winning the queen back on d5. So just e5. And you could just retreat the knight. That's really passive. But I think knight takes d5, getting a couple of pawns is an option here. Then you can play e6, then you can play pawn at f6. But he's going for bishop d3. This is also nice because the one way of getting out of this position for black was probably to play knight takes e5, but now you allow bishop takes h7. So Mugwort fortifying his king's position, trying to go for this. And now we can get the queen here or a pawn. Yeah, it's looking good for whites. Thought of the opening that black should be better, or at least it felt like black had chances to equalize quickly. But now white looks really good. Already you could just cash in here with bishop takes g6 and knight takes f8. And pawn at f7 maybe. Pawn at f6, yeah. Takes, new pawn, knight at f6, rook at h7, and just go for the kill. If you need an extra pawn, knight takes d5, queen takes d5. Gets you some. King f7. Rook g8 probably. But now, yeah, there's no counterplay yet, I feel. And now, yeah, too many mating threats are coming, so black needs to keep defending, and okay, promote to queen, or maybe rook h8 if it's possible. I'm not sure, but promote to queen should be fine. Ah, he's going for rook h8. Nice. Maybe it's not winning, but it felt like a funny move. Yeah, Mugwort is defending, so probably it wasn't best. Queen f7 now. Blocker knight f8. Okay, now knight at f8. If takes, queen f7, knight f6. I shouldn't. Queen f7 is just mate in or close. I felt before, but maybe now with the rook at g7 is defending enough. But mastertan is never losing this. Yeah, knight f7 mate. All right, good game by mastertan, taking it to 4-all. So now it's just best of 2. If 5-5, they share the, and otherwise there's the win for mastertan or Mugwort. So interesting. But yeah, by the way, it's not so much about winning your matches. It's more about getting as many points, I believe. So it's better to win a couple of 8-2s and then lose 1-6-4 than win all your matches 6-4. If I'm not mistaken. But okay, of course it's nice to beat someone 6-4. Okay, so we have the c5 idea again now with a6 b5 and bishop b7. Mugwort just holding on to his center pawn with getting a new one on d4. Getting ready to push d5 maybe to open up the e file. Wouldn't recommend pushing e5 here, since then the bishop is going to be strong. But okay, e5 played. To look at the king side was possible, but he's just going to play knight e5. Try to be solid. Guess knight c3 is an option. Whoa, sorry about this, guys. Just misclicked. Sorry about that. I was going to say knight c3 takes, and knight at h5 ideas. But bishop e4 also looking to take, and knight h5. So he might try pawn at g4 here. Whoa, he's going f5. Don't know about this. Knight d6. Castling is over, but how are you gonna follow up here? This is just a check, but okay, the king is probably safer if castle, so something to save for the check. And maybe if you get rid of this, you can go rook e8 on a good day. Would like to see knight e5, queen h5 ideas. That looked strong as well. But I guess he's not going to go for it because this is just scary. But for example, knight e5 takes, take with the pawn, I guess. Then go queen h5 after bishop takes g2. Or pawn h6 first. It's not so easy for black to give up this defender as well. Okay, so now takes. Oh. Yeah, I don't like this by black. Pawn g5 looks strong. Okay, knight f5 to put more pressure, but there's going to be sacks on on e7 possible. So bishop e4 is preventing rook takes e7 ideas later. But now you might have time for knight takes g7, pawn at f6. Maybe putting the bishop first with check was better, because then you can play the pawn on the 7th rank to promote. But alright, you can take, you can try rook takes, bishop f7, knight e5. If you block with the pawn, there would have been a mate. You need one more pawn, let's see. Don't calculate too long here, Mugwort. You need to move. Okay, 95, 15 seconds remaining. Takes. Bishop here takes. Queen takes knight d7. Fumitok saying this diagonal is open, so white should win. No queen h5 just yet, though. There were options. Oh, it doesn't work. Thanks for noticing, Mixu. Yeah, so knight at d7 just wins the queen, and then it should be over. I guess there shortly will be a cross table or something like that, and then I'll link to that one. For now, I'll just give the whole link in the commands. Should be changed now. Okay, so he took the queen, but mastertan has found something. He wants this. But the king can run to e3 and be safe. I hope this works now. By the way. Maybe you should have tried to promote the knight. I don't know. Rook at d7, knight c5. Okay, Mugwort finding the mate. He's getting sharper. So 5-4. Mugwort needs one more to win this first Crazy House Candidates match. Okay, thanks Biz0s, I guess, and Mixu Chess, thanks very much for pointing that out. Last game went for again. Last game like this, I mean, with mastertan as white, went pretty easily. The mastertan it felt in this line, but Mugwort returning to it. Guess he doesn't have much of a choice. He could have played something else than e5 first move, but after you play that, white can probably force this. c3 again. No bishop c5, bishop e7 now. d5. I guess some takes. Bishop b5 allows this bishop out, so you can just go bishop b5 immediately. Hunter King 00732 and Super Row Gamer, thanks for following. So now the bishop is still here, not going to h3, so that's why you don't trade on d5 first. And now also there's some ideas of taking here, knight takes f7 and then putting a knight on e5 to win back the pawn on c6. Knight takes f7 or knight e5 immediately. But maybe now bishop at h5, yeah. And I don't think you can sack the queen, but maybe he's gonna. I felt like the other way around was more forcing. You could castle now. If knight takes c6, you can play queen d7. Takes. Or even bishop d7. Takes. And f7 is now really nicely covered. So no problems there. Okay, so it takes d4. But now something here. Pawn at e2, rook e1. What's the follow? Knight g4 maybe. Knight g4 just takes. Don't know pawn e2 because it's okay. It's attacking the rook, and a rook next will be really good. But where are you gonna get the rook? It's not so easy to get a rook from for now. Okay, it's c5. He wants bishop c5 and knight g4, of course, but mastertan will figure something out. But Mugwort's king is very safe here, so if he can keep it that way, he should be able to bring this one home. He's just he's up a couple of pawns. He has safer king. So I'm banking Mugwort to win this one, but we'll see what happens. Mastertan taking a long think here. Okay, bishop f4. He's gonna give up another pawn to get this rook out. Okay, he takes it with the queens even, because the queen trade favors black here. Even with f1 sufficiently covered, the queen trade probably still favors black. No, not rushing in with pawn e3 or pawn f3. Queen at d1 could have been an option as well. I don't know if queen f5 is best, but he's just not rushing it. Then wants this. Bit of a cheap trick. But I don't know how to deal with it actually. Okay, he's just gonna let take g7, take g5. But white actually feels safer, or almost, than black here. He lacks material, but apart from that. Can you try bishop h6, rook g8? If the king runs here, you can take this with check. Could not take the queen because of rook d8 mate. Now we have Mugwort in time trouble. Mastertan trying to take over somehow. Bishop here. Pawn at d2 wins. He's just going back. Okay, that's a free rook. Now pawn at d2 not so strong anymore. What's he doing? Okay, he's not mated, I feel, as long as he doesn't give up another rook. Knight at d7 wins the queen, but knight takes f3 wins the game. Queen d6. Okay, bishop here. What is going on? Queen h8 takes. It's not going to be enough. Knight h6. It was almost a draw opportunity there, but Mugwort played the right move order. The king is safe on e7. King is also safe by taking everything. Okay, Mugwort wins it for sure now. There's no knights and rooks left, so no real chances of counterplay. Just take all the pieces, yeah, and take the rook. Don't be fancy, just take the rook. Okay, also just move the king, also fine. And now there's nothing to be done against knight f4 mate. Or knight e1 and rook g1, the strongest, quickest mate. Alright, congratulations to Mugwort. He's mating with queen f1. No blocker left. That's a nice touch in the end there. Nice entertaining match. This promises us some good crazy outs to come. This is only the first of 66 matches, I believe. 60 matches? 66, I feel, yeah. So Mugwort taking first bloods, and already tomorrow at 9 p.m. Central European time, or Central European Summer Time. So that's GMT +2. We have the next match. We have Jisugi versus Art of Deception. And I'll try to be back for that one as well. And for now, I'm going to leave it here. And hope to see you next time. Have a good day. If you're in Europe, don't forget to drink water. Stay hydrated. See you later.